All right, guys, welcome back. So let's get started with the cracking attempts now. We just went over a bunch of demos just then. So what I'm going to spend some time now is diving into the cracking attempt. So once we get a hash, what do we do with the hashing? How do we then go and then use the plain text, that password? Now there's multiple variations and there are endless ways of obviously cracking the account, cracking the passwords. In this example, I'm going to do it the traditional approach. How you get the database, you'll dump it, you'll generate some member keys, and then you'll go ahead and crack it with a bunch of tools. Now, we've over the past couple of years, there are endless amount of products and services and tools to make our jobs easier to go ahead and crack these creds. So what I've decided to do is just do this little lab, and I can demonstrate and showcase how simple it is to go ahead and actually crack the credentials. So before we sort of jump into it, I'm going to spend some time just showing you, I guess, just preparing the lab. I'm going to show you the tools that I've downloaded, where I went to download them, and then we'll go into the actual demonstration. So I'm just going to highlight the screen so we can start doing the stuff. And now I've got a picture of me on there. I'm not going to use that, but let's continue. So let's not worry about this too much. So I'm just going to move that away. All right, cool. So let's not worry about this right here. I won't use that. So let's go. So the first step of this is the three basic steps that we need to do. Number one is we need to get and find and then dump that security account manager, which is the SAM database that we have in Active Directory. So when I type in a password, there's 6 phases that Windows goes through. I'm not going to go through the entire 6 phases, but the 6 phases where it goes through from me typing in a password as 123, and then it ends up as a hash like SJ21, whatever the hash will look like. So going from plain text to the hash, the one-way function as we call it. There are 6 steps. I will create a subsequent explanation of this, where I'm going to go into the 6 sort of, not in depth, but I'll cover off how a password goes through, and obviously how does it get to the end part of it being a hash. I'm not going to do it in this one, but I will do it in the subsequent sort of little nugget that I'll create. So the first one is the dumping of the SAM database, and I found obviously over the years there's a lot of tools to do this. One that works really well for me is called FGDump. So we'll go ahead and download FGDump. Another really good one is PWDump 7. That's some really cool tools, those two. I usually use this one. I like the way that it just works really well. Rainbow tables, there's ways and so many ways to generate rainbow tables. There's tools called RTGen or Win. What was that? Win RTGen. So that's one what we're going to use to generate the rainbow table. So like I was saying before, it makes it easier when we know what the security policy is of their Active Directory controller. So if they've got a password policy of 6, I then am going to generate a rainbow table for 6 password character lengths, whether it's alphanumeric, mixed alpha, or just even numbers. So then I'm going to get 100% success to actually go ahead and crack it, rather than generating a number from 1 and 20, which I might get a 10% chance of actually cracking the password. And then we'll go ahead and actually get cracking. So the cracking will take maybe a few minutes, depending on obviously the password length. If this is 20 characters, that's going to take a lot longer than a few minutes. The most time-consuming part of this is generating the actual rainbow table. If I'm going to go ahead and generate one, it'll take maybe a few hours, and I'll show you the benchmark when we actually go through it. You'll see how we'll benchmark the rainbow table, and it'll give you a projection of how long it will actually take before it finishes. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll use some tools like OffCrack is a really good tool, or I'm going to use Rainbow Crack in this example. and then the two tools that that I'll use to demonstrate this. All right, so in our lab, I'm going to use my Surface to basically download 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to download all these tools on my Windows Surface machine, and then I'm going to use our Windows Server 2012 box, and we'll go ahead and I'll change colors. We'll go ahead and get the SAM database. So we'll dump it over here, and then once we dump it, we'll generate some rainbow tables. So number 2 is generate rainbow table, and step 3, we'll go ahead and then crack the creds. So you'll see that the accounts that I've created on there, you know, I've made it look very realistic in terms of the company, and that's what I wanted to showcase. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's start doing this. So if you've got any questions while I'm doing this, you know, feel free just to write them down, and then, you know, shoot them over to me. And, you know, if you have any concerns or any questions, I'll answer them. If you don't, awesome, I won't answer it. So cool, let's do it. So I'm going to close this off. So the first thing I did was obviously download the 3 tools. So to download the dumping tools, I'm just going to fire up Chrome, and I'll go to incognito mode, and I'm just going to go to google.com, and let's just download FGDump. It's the first tool. So FGDump is from Fufus. This is probably the right website to download it from. Just jump on there. You know, you've got your Windows versions, the latest version that they bring out every now and then. And I'm just going to downloads. Now, I'm not going to download this. I've already downloaded it. Now, you aren't going to need to disable, you know, your antivirus or firewall on there, because you start downloading this software, it's going to raise its flag and say, hey, you know, I can't download, it's malicious, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I'm just going to download it. I've downloaded these already in my downloads folder that you can see. Downloads. I've already downloaded FGDump. There's our Rainbow Crack, Rainbow Gen, and a few other ones. But, you know, just in this example, you know, I've already downloaded that, so I'm not going to go ahead and re-download it. There's some me doing some tests before. We're not going to worry about them, so we'll do fresh ones. So I'll close that. So FGDump, Fufus.net. The next one is WinRTGen. So WinRTGen will help us go ahead and actually generate the rainbow tables. I would have downloaded so this is the better website to download it, and obviously they've taken that site offline, so we can't download Can Enable anymore from that site. OXID used to be just basically a tool house for these sort of tools. It seems that it's gone offline recently in the last couple of months. I couldn't get access to it at all, so I don't know if they've actually disabled it or, you know, it doesn't exist anymore. I did download it from Softpedia. Now, quote unquote, you know, you don't know what you're going to be getting when you download these tools. So doing them in a lab-like environment is probably the way to go, unless you're writing the proper versions. There is ways to obviously verify the hashes of these files to make sure that nothing's been altered, doing an MD5 checksum. And I will do a separate nugget, a separate video that, you know, will showcase how do I do it in Linux, in a Linux environment, and obviously a Windows environment. How do I verify the 2 hashes are, you know, what these guys say the hash is opposed to what I've downloaded. How do I actually get that hash, and how do I verify the 2 really quickly? So, you know, it will take maybe 3 minutes just to download it, not even download the file essentially, and then just run an MD5 checksum against that file and then verify it. You know, I'll do that separately as well for you guys. So we've got WinRTGen. I've downloaded WinRTGen already, so I'm not going to do that in this demonstration. So WinRTGen is here. There's 2 versions to WinRTGen. You've got the graphical interface, which comes up. There we go. So I've got a virus threat detection that's come up telling me, hey, you know, there's something going on, block. So I might just have to verify that stays offline while we're doing these attacks. So going back to WinRTGen, we've got 2 versions of it. So one is the graphical user interface one, which we're going to use, and then there's a command line version as well that we're going to use. So you will get to experience both sides, where I can go ahead and generate rainbow table through the command line. It's very quick opposed to the graphical. Graphical, just, you know, it's more easy to look at and it's more prettier. So that's that. And the last one is our rainbow table generator. rainbow crack. So rainbow crack is what we're going to use to actually go ahead and crack the creds. So rainbow crack. That as well, and that's from projectrainbowcrack.com is where you'll download it from. So here's two versions: there's Windows version and the Linux flavor. We'll just download and go ahead and download the rainbow crack Windows version. Okay, cool. Now that we've got that downloaded, I'm going to fire up my VMs on my other machine. So if I'm going to go back to my diagram, so on my little MacBook Pro, I'm running VMware Fusion on there. So I've got Fusion for Mac. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spin up the Windows Server 2012 on there now. And once that starts up, I'll stop my share screen on this one and I'll share screen on the other one now. So let's do that. Screen share, it's on. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to log on now. So let's Control delete that. So now I'm the administrator, I'm logging in, and we can see that, I'm in Windows Server 2012. Now Server Manager comes up by default. That's fine. Let's fire that up. That's cool. I'll minimize that. So I've gone ahead now. This is obviously now from the blue team perspective that, the administrator on the ConLab enterprise, whatever, has set up. So if I just go on the Active Directory, I'm going to make my video thing right there. All right, so we've got cool. So this is our little domain controller. So you've got a couple of sites here. Australia, you've got users, you've got Sydney, Singapore. So this company looks like they've got a bunch of users all over Australia and internationally, a couple of users. So, a few, maybe 100 users or so, or whatever. So I've tried to, give you like the realistic approach to it. Look, they have a guy called Alex Keswick, who's, consultant and managers in private and majors in privacy. And then we've got, the cybersecurity manager and, a couple of HR guys and IT directors and people out of Newcastle and the paralegals, some remote users that aren't there. Then we've got some guys out of Singapore, some guys out of Sydney. This guy's the managing partner. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and dump the database out of Active Directory. So I want to know who these guys are. I want all the creds. We'll do that. And one thing before that, what I want to show you guys in Win Server Manager, I'm going to go to Tools and I'm going to look at the Group Policy Manager. And in here is actually where we actually define what our password policy scope is. So under the main forest that I've got here, so you have your own one here, you go under domains, under my ConLab that I've created, I'm just going to edit the main default policy. And inside here now, under policies, under Windows settings, and under security settings, I'm going to expand that, make it bigger for you guys to see. Under account policies, in here is when I actually now get to define and scope out what my password policy for my organization is. Now, a good practice is that this is going to be very, very strong. In this little demo that, I've modified it just to make it easier for these type of attacks. So I wouldn't have to go ahead and waste too much time when I'm cracking things. I just want to show you that it can be done, how easy it is to be done. So in my example, password age is 1 day, minimum password length, I've just set it as 1 character. So that means when I'm typing in the passwords for those people, I didn't have to put in a 10-character password. It's going to take me, a couple of hours and days to sort of crack. And I wanted to make it really easy for this lab where I can just go ahead and crack it. It'll take maybe a few minutes. So I've just modified that just so in a good production environment, you want to define these to the core. You want to be really strict and granular on, what's allowed, what's not. You can get more specific around wireless networks, other policies. So if you want to know more around how to secure things correctly, I can create more content on this if you like, or just let me know on more things that you like. I'm not going to dive too much into the whole architecture of the Windows side of things. This is just a little demo that I'm going to showcase and walk you through, the attack. So we've got that. That's cool. I'm going to stop my screen share and I'm going to hop over to my Surface machine now. And from there, we're actually going to dump out the database. So before I even do that, I need to know what the IP address is of this guy. Now, it's on this network, so the 1032.11.14 is my host. We also need to know the credentials. Now, when we're dumping the account, we got the credentials through our attack before this, which was when the administrator telnetted to this device, right? Now, in a normal attack, you're not going to know what things are where, you don't know what it's going to be. And this is sort of a simulated thing where I've sort of created this just so it makes it easier in the flow of things. When we're doing proper port scans, the proper banner grabbing and that sort of stuff, we go through proper scenarios to identify the systems and fingerprint the networks. We've sort of bypassed all that already. I don't want to spend a long time on that. I will be creating more things on doing sort of banner grabbing and what it is and how do I fingerprint a network, and doing port scans across the network can be really dangerous because a lot of companies will have proper solutions in place to actually filter you. There's ways that are really easy, things like banner grabbing, which you're just changing the port that you use to turn it to a device. So if I'm going into a web server at port 80, but I'm going to use Telnet to turn it to that device. So Telnet will use the proper port of 23. We're just doing a port translation to port 80, which I'll talk about when I actually do the demo to make more sense. And then you can actually banner grab or identify what server is on there by doing, talking HTTP to that server. So you just do a get command, get HTTP version 1.0, and it'll actually spin out what version of web server it's sitting on, whether it's Apache or IIS or whatever it is. And that's an easier and safer way to actually identify a system rather than port scanning and trying to identify a flavor of environments or a flavor of systems across a whole network of devices. You're going to get flagged and it's going to slow you down. And that goes to the next topic of it's better to port scan a single host. If you've identified that host, that's fine. But on a network, you probably don't want to start port scanning and using scan. It's gonna bust you out. All right, cool. So let's do this. So we've got that. That's fine. I'm going to stop my screen share over here so we can go ahead and begin the dump. So I'm just going to stop my share. I'll go over here now and begin my share now on the screen. All right, cool. So let's minimize that. So we've downloaded those three tools. So FG dump, we've downloaded WinRTGen, Rainbow Crack. So just for your FYI guys, so Foofers, FG dump. We've got on Softpedia to download WinRTGen. So that's going to generate our Rainbow tables. And Rainbow Crack project. So project-rainbowcrack.com is where we download our Rainbow Crack software to break the hashes that we have. Now, I will talk about these hashes in a separate video if you like. I'm going to go too much into time into talking about LM, NTLM, MD5, SHA-1 hashes and SHA-56 and everything else that goes with it. I really don't want to spend more than 15 minutes talking about those hashes. So for the sake of this demo, if you want me to go into the depth of what those hashes are, what's the difference between them, just let me know, and I can also create another video for that, and I'll share it with you guys as well. All right, I'm going to minimize this, minimize that, get rid of that. All right, so cool. So I've got my plain desktop, and I'm just going to fire up the command line, and I'm just going to go into the downloads folder where I downloaded the file so I can start doing the dump. So where am I? So I'm doing a quick dir, shows me, hey, Andrew, you're in the users Andrew directory, and that's fine. I'm not going to go into the depths of expanding the file system side of things, but yeah. So I've already downloaded it. That's a zip version. I've already extracted it. So that's the extract version. I'm just going to go into that folder now, which is the FG dump folder, and do a dir, and it says, hey, you've got a bunch of things in here, and there's the file that we want to use. So to use FG dump, it's just going FG dump -H says, hey, what host do you actually want to pull the database from? So we already know what the IP address is, which is the 1032.11.14 network. The username that we want, which is the administrator, and the password, which we already know from doing our sniffing before from the attack that we did, was that tilde, exclamation mark, tilde, con 1991, and the password. And I'm just going to press enter. And it says, hey, you can't run the program. And I think it's because I'm not running it in maybe when Defender is on. Now, yes, it is. All right, cool. So I'm just going to disable this. I thought it was off by default, but I didn't turn it on. So let's see that. Yes. All right, cool. Speaking of that too, I think I did mention that I will be sending everyone the script that I've created to disable Windows environment, like the Windows Defender, because chances are it's going to be running on production networks that I'm working on. So I need to disable it so I can run programs and run things in the background. So I'll share that with you guys. It's probably around 4 lines of PowerShell code that you just copy and paste into every CMD console that you're in, and we'll just go and we'll just disable Defender. It took me a long time to find the right working thing, but it took time. So I'll share that with you guys as well. So cool. Now it's saying, hey, I'm going out there and I'm going to start dumping this database. Now, once it does that, it'll, obviously notify us. It's going ahead and now doing the dump. It's probably a few kilobytes in length, like you can see from these ones. It doesn't take that long. So go away. Go away. Okay, cool. So I'll let that go and do its thing. And while that's cooking, I'm going to open up another console session. And I'm going to see where I am and go into my downloads folder. And now let's go ahead and actually generate some Rainbow tables. So while that's going, we're going to generate some Rainbow tables. So when this finishes, we'll have something to crack the database of information from here with our actual hashed version. So that's password. So like I said before, a Rainbow table is basically a pre-computed sort of hash that says, hey, this password 1, and this is the actual hash for it. So it will have millions and millions and millions already hashed passwords. So when I'm actually doing the cracking, I don't have to go ahead and actually generate the table and then go and crack it. I'm just basically comparing the known hashes against, the actual password itself. So that's what we're going to be doing in the crack, and that's how we'll actually go through and crack all those passwords in, a few minutes, as you'll see, not even. So it looks like it's already dumped in the table. So we've got it, which should come up here as the 10. There we go. So there's our password dump there. So that's already done. That's good. So back over here now, we're going to go ahead and actually generate some Rainbow tables. There's 2 ways to do that. One is through the command line, which we're going to do now, and then obviously through the GUI interface as well, which we'll do as well. So you'll see what both of them look like. So I'm just going to go into WinRTGen, and we've got it there. Let me just go back one. CD Rainbow crack. DIR. CD Rainbow crack. DIR. All right, cool. So RTGen in here, if I do a quick show question mark. So this is the context sensitive help for, hey, what is RTGen? Well, if I'm going to use RTGen, what are the commands, like how do I actually get it to work? So RTGen / question mark shows me, hey, how do I actually use it? And it says, hey, to use RTGen, type in RTGen, use the hash algorithm, the character set, all that. I'm not going to go into the whole depth of, the chain indexing, chain lengths, chain numbers. It's basically just saying that how many indexes, how many chain character lengths do you want? If you want me to go into the depths, I will. Just make a side note on this. If you want to know what they are in more depth and more content, I'll let you know what they actually are. It's just saying, hey, in order to generate this table, just give me those character lengths. Now, if we want to know what the character set is, I'm going to open up the text file that it comes with and says, hey, you can do numeric, you can do alpha, which is just alpha characters. You can do alphanumeric, so it includes that with the numbers, lower alpha numeric, or mixed alpha. For this demo, I think we're going to do mixed alpha because the passwords, or we can do a bunch of things actually. Yeah, we can do mixed. That should be fine. Mixed alpha. So it'll just say, it's basically telling you that's the character set of passwords that you can use. Numeric, alpha, alphanumeric, lower alphanumeric, mixed alpha, numeric, or you can use ASCII codes as well, which is more depth. So, you know, if you're doing proper attacks, you might want to do, you know, the ASCII sort of attack where you have all these sort of other configurables on the character set. In this example, I'm not going to do that. It's going to take a long time to generate those. So without further ado, let's jump in. It says, hey, to use RTGen, please go ahead and use RTGen with these parameters. So what hash algorithm are we going to be using? We're going to be using an NTLM hash, which is the Windows hash. And like I said, I'll go through another sort of video where I'll talk about that. I'm not going to do that now. The character set, we want to use mixed alpha. Let me go back and just type in character set. It's just mixed alpha. Okay, so RTGen, and it says, hey, to use RTGen, what am I doing? So RTGen, NTLM hash, and then character set is mixed alpha, and it says for